Hi guys. So this video is on repeating the patterns, the negative patterns that we find ourselves in. So this will give you some advice on how to recognize those patterns and the reasons why we do it and how to break free from it. So why do we do it? It's usually because there are beliefs and patterns that are ingrained in our subconscious. So we might later notice that we keep entering the same cycle over and over again of entering toxic relationships or toxic workplaces. We might notice it later on, but our subconscious puts us into an automatic state of being naturally drawn towards those environments because it's what we're used to. It's what we're used to recognizing. It's what is familiar to us. So our subconscious will naturally draw us towards these environments that we're used to. Now, what does that mean for us? It means that we end up making choices that are led by our limiting beliefs, choices that are not necessarily based on what's good for us. And the way of confronting this is by facing your shadows. And what do I mean by shadows? Those shadows are limiting beliefs that you will have learnt during your lifetime. So when you're first born, when you're a child, you're yourself in your purest form, your most authentic self. As you start to experience different things in life and become exposed to different people, you start to learn different things that you're fed with. And unfortunately, a lot of people who are unhealed end up projecting their own traumas and negative cycles onto you. And these are all of the things that start to become more and more ingrained in our subconscious the less we deal with it. And that's what makes it so important to get coaching and therapy, to continue to be aware of those patterns that keep developing. So what happens when we face our shadows? When we face our shadows, we start confronting all of those things that were developed in our lifetime. The essence is that the world that we see around us is simply a reflection of ourselves, a reflection of the way we see ourselves. So our choices are usually based on the way we see ourselves. So you might have noticed, it might even be you, but some people always say, oh, I hate drama. Drama always seems to find me. But then they keep entering the same cycles over and over again and almost claim that it's totally out of their control, like it keeps finding them, right? But this is what happens when we start to act with our subconscious mind. If we feel that drama is familiar to us, if we feel that it feeds us in some way, we start to get drawn towards it. We start to seek it subconsciously, right? In the same way, if we feel unworthy, we start to become drawn towards people who don't recognize our worth. So the way that we see ourselves is what we tend to draw ourselves towards. If we feel insecure, we get drawn towards people who tend to invalidate us, people who are emotionally unavailable, and where we have to work harder to get their validation. So we tend to be drawn towards the things that we are lacking and seeking within ourselves, that can only be found within ourselves and worked on by facing our shadows and bringing consciousness to our subconscious, bringing consciousness to our subconscious thoughts and feelings. An example is you might get attracted to certain types of people who are invalidating you, emotionally unavailable, make you feel unworthy because you don't feel a sense of self-worth yourself. So we get drawn towards the idea of what we feel within ourselves. And same with workplaces. We might have a boss who invalidates us, And that might reflect an insecurity that we don't feel smart enough within ourselves, and so we accept that, or we don't feel worthy within ourselves, so we accept that, and we continue entering this type of cycle. So what's the goal here? When we start to face our subconscious and start to bring to consciousness all of our subconscious thoughts, it means bringing awareness to all of those thoughts. What happens when we're in this automatic cycle is that we keep re-entering this cycle because we are in a subconscious state. So when you bring consciousness to it, it means that you're bringing awareness to it. You're recognizing what your thoughts and emotions are, and you're trapping them before you give in to them and make choices based on them. So as your self-awareness grows, you start to recognize those patterns before you even make them. And then you can start to confront them, confront the shadows that are creating these patterns, and start to understand them and uncover all of the layers to understand what is the deeper reason behind all this, behind this cycle. Okay, so in creating self-awareness, it starts with recognizing the emotion and the thoughts that are going through you. So that you can understand, why am I reacting this way? What is triggering my reason for wanting to take this action? What feeling is involved, or what thoughts are involved? And that's how we raise our self-awareness. Now, it all sounds very easy when I say it like this, but the reason why there are coaches and therapists in the world is because it's not very easy to do alone. So working on self-awareness, we can do some of the work on our own, but it's not always easy to uncover all of the layers on our own, and that's why people like me are around to help you do that. So if that sounds like something that you need right now, then get in touch, and I'd be happy to help. Have a great evening, guys.